Hello, here's another lesson. Right, so this week's lesson is about the US elections. How much do you know about them already? So, two questions. What do you know about the US elections? And what would you like to know? So make a few notes. Do you know anything at all? Have you been reading in the newspapers? Do you know the candidates? Do you know the procedure? Do you know when it is? Okay, and now I want you to pause the screen and write 10 questions about the US elections, things that you would like to know. You can start with when, who, where, how, what, why. Okay, so pause now and write 10 questions, and we'll try to answer those questions in the lesson on the video and then the lesson in class. Okay, pause now. Okay, ready? And now another idea, if. Can you think of sentences beginning with if about the US elections? So these are all conditionals, and I'd like you to write 10 conditional sentences beginning with if about the elections. You can write about the future time, the present time, the past time, anything you like. Okay, so pause now and write 10 conditional sentences. Try to make a mixture of different conditionals. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the conditionals now. Let's look at the grammar. So if you're talking about the present or the future, you need the first or the second conditional. The first conditional is the real conditional, something you think is a real possibility, like if Trump wins, he'll continue to live in the White House. So which tenses are they? Think about it and write down the tenses. And then check back with your list of conditional sentences to see if you've got any first conditionals and correct the tenses if they're wrong. The second conditional is something you think is not possible or not probable. For example, if Biden was younger, he'd have more of a chance of winning. That's impossible, because it's impossible for someone to be younger than they are. Okay, which tenses are there? Can you write them down and then pause and check your sentences, see if you have any about present or future impossibility or improbability. Okay. Right, and maybe you have some conditional sentences talking about the past. So if you're talking about the past, it has to be a third conditional or a mixed conditional. The third is a past condition and result. So both halves of the sentence are about the past. For example, if Trump hadn't met so many people, he wouldn't have caught coronavirus. So what tenses are they? Have a look, think, and look back at your sentences too. And then there's the mixed conditional. The condition, the if part, is in the past. And the second half, the result, is in the present. So the example sentence is, if Trump hadn't met so many people, he wouldn't have coronavirus now. Which tenses are these? Have a look and check your sentences. We'll have a look at them all in class. Okay. So, what do you know about the US elections? Who can become the president? Have a look here and find the 3 requirements. Pause to read now. Okay, did you know those requirements? What's the process? So here are 5 stages. Have a look through here and pause the screen and see if you know anything about these 5 steps. Okay, so here is a nice visual all about the stages. How to become President of the United States. Would you like to be the president? So the first bit is at the top left-hand corner. You have to start with the requirements. Have a look at the star where it says start. Those are those 3 requirements. Then you go through the primaries and the caucuses, round the corner into the campaigns, then to the national conventions, the step 2, round the corner at the bottom to the step 3, general election. And then the step 4 is the electoral college, when each state gets a certain number of electors. And at the end, there is a newly elected president. So pause this now and have a look and read all these parts of the election so you know more about it. Okay. Right, 2 newspaper cuttings now. So what do you think, who do they think will win the election? Here's the first one. Who do they think will win? And the second one. Who do they think will win? Okay, so the first one here. You can pause the screen now to read in more detail. Who do they think will win and why? Okay, and the next one. Who do they think will win and why? Okay. Lots of statistics we see in the election. So here are lots of statistics, percentages. Can you write down all the percentages and write next to it what they are related to? For example, the first one is 42%. So you write down 42% and then you look to see 42% what? And the fact is that it's 42% of Americans say they approve of the president's performance in office. And that is President Trump, of course. Okay, so write down all the other percentages and find out what they are talking about. Pause now. Okay. 2 men, who are they? What do you know about them? Do you know anything? Pause and write down everything you know. Okay. Here is some information about them. So read this information and find out which one would you vote for and why. Okay. And your final task is to plan your own election manifesto. A manifesto is all the promises that you make of what you will do when you win the election. So what do you promise? How are you going to do it? When are you going to do it? Think about your local area. Think about all your election promises. Here on the right is an example manifesto. Somebody wanting to win the election for the student ambassador. And the promises are the 6 numbers down the right-hand side. Okay, so you can pause and write your election promises or manifesto. So you have to bring all these things to class. I want you to do some more reading as well. So your 10 questions, your 10 conditional sentences, your election manifesto, and I want you to read from some news, BBC or some of the newspapers about the US elections and bring some more ideas. Okay, that is the lesson.